If you've seen videos claiming the $2,000 tariff rebate checks were approved overnight, pause. Because right now, there's a huge gap between what's going viral and what's actually confirmed. Here's what the major outlets are reporting. The White House has signaled the president is committed to the idea, but that's not the same thing as a finalized, funded program with dates and rules. In fact, the biggest details people are skipping are the ones that matter most: how it would legally happen, who would qualify, and when it could realistically be paid out. So in this video, we're doing this the right way. No hype, no wishful thinking. By the end, you'll know three things: what's confirmed versus what's still rumor, what's still a proposal, and what would have to happen next, what you should do right now to protect yourself, especially as scams explode whenever free money trends online. Because if someone tells you, click this link to claim your check, that's not a shortcut, that's a trap. Big difference. Committed is not the same as approved. Major outlets report the White House says the president is committed to the idea of $2,000 tariff dividend checks, but that's still not a finalized paid-out program with rules and dates. Axios reports Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been clear about the next step. This would likely require Congress to act, meaning we'd need legislation. So if you hear, Treasury already finalized tiers, timelines, and a senior priority lane, treat that as unconfirmed unless you can point to an official Treasury, IRS, or Social Security release. Here's the quick filter. Official/major outlets equals intent, discussions, hurdles. Viral claims equals guaranteed dates, hard cutoffs, approved overnight. Until you see a bill become law or official agency guidance, the honest status is proposed, not approved. This isn't being described like the COVID-era stimulus checks. What's being floated in major coverage is a tariff dividend idea. Collect revenue from import tariffs, then return part of that money to households as a rebate-style payment. In other words, it's being framed as a give-back from tariff revenue, not a traditional stimulus package funded through new deficit spending. But here's the part most viral clips skip. Funding source isn't the same as a payment system. Even if tariff revenue is coming in, you still need legal authority and a distribution mechanism. And in the U.S., rebates like this are typically run through the tax code, meaning Congress would have to authorize Treasury to send the money out, often via the IRS and the Fiscal Service. So think of it like this. Money coming in is only step one. Step two is permission and plumbing, rules, eligibility, and the actual process that gets dollars into bank accounts. The biggest bottleneck isn't printing checks, it's authorization. Here's the part nobody says out loud. A plan isn't a payment. To actually send $2,000 out to millions of people, the government needs a clear legal mechanism, and multiple reports say the administration is exploring a legislative path to make that happen. And that's where the friction is. There's already pushback in Congress, with some lawmakers arguing tariff revenue should be used to pay down the national debt or reduce the deficit instead of cutting checks. Translation in plain English: until there's a bill, until Congress signs off or an official legal route is published, nothing is locked. Not eligibility, not timelines, not payment dates. Now let's do the boring, but most important part, the math. If this check is $2,000 per adult, and even around 150 million adults qualify, that's roughly $300 billion. That's not a headline number. That's a budget-sized number. CBS cited Tax Foundation economist Erica York, estimating that a $2,000 payment to about 150 million adults, often discussed as those earning $100,000 or less, would take about $300 billion in revenue. And this is why economists keep pressing the same question. Can tariff revenue actually cover it? Tax Foundation's modeling shows the price tag could range roughly $279.8 billion to $606.8 billion, depending on how it's designed. And they argue that's more than tariffs are expected to raise in 2025 under the scenarios they examined. This is the part viral clips skip: scale. Even if you love the idea, the dollars have to add up, because if the revenue doesn't match the promise, something has to change. The amount, the eligibility, or the timing. Here's the irony. Tariffs can push prices up, which is exactly why affordability is such a big talking point in the first place. One of the most cited nonpartisan estimates comes from the Budget Lab at Yale. In its October 17, 2025 update, it estimated U.S. consumers were facing an overall average effective tariff rate of about 18% and called it the highest since the 1930s. And it's not just an abstract trade statistic. That same analysis estimates 2025 tariffs raise the overall price level in the short run. They quantified it around plus 1.3%, which they translate into a meaningful hit to household purchasing power. So, politically, a tariff dividend gets pitched as a giveback. We collect tariff money, then return it to Americans. But economically, it's complicated. Because if tariffs are part of what's making everyday goods more expensive, then a one-time check doesn't magically erase the underlying price pressure. One number keeps showing up everywhere, under $100,000. Yes, that figure is being discussed. CBS News reports Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent suggested it could apply to households earning less than, say, $100,000. But the key phrase is could. That's not a final rule, and it's not official guidance. Investopedia makes the same point in a different way. The checks aren't in the mail because the plan still lacks the hard details: eligibility, structure, and the path to actually send payments. So here's the reality. Until there's a bill or Treasury IRS publishes formal guidance, any exact cutoff you hear, $100,000, $75,000, $30,000, is speculation. Don't build your budget around a number that isn't written anywhere official. A lot of videos are saying low-income seniors were moved into Tier 1 and pushed to the front of the line. Here's what we can responsibly say based on major reporting. The $2,000 tariff dividend is being framed as relief aimed at low and middle-income Americans, and the White House has said the president is committed to the idea. But I have not seen publicly released Treasury/IRS/SSA documents that confirm a 3-tier priority queue or a special senior fast lane, the way viral clips describe it. And even Treasury leadership has said this would require legislation, which means the rules can still change in Congress. So treat any tier list you see online as unverified until it appears on official .gov channels. Axios reported Trump said these $2,000 tariff dividend checks could start going out by mid-2026. But that's a target, not a scheduled payment date you can circle on your calendar. The real timeline depends on 3 checkpoints. First, Congress. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said this would require legislation, which means nothing moves until a bill is passed and signed. Second, the rules: who qualifies, what income cutoff, and how the payment is structured. Third, the plumbing. The government has to route payments through existing systems, typically involving the IRS and Treasury's payment rails. Treasury has described how major direct payments have been sent before through Treasury, the Bureau of the Fiscal Service, and the IRS, and Fiscal Service is the central dispersing hub for most federal payments. So until those steps happen, no one should promise you an exact week. Anytime money goes viral, scams spike. Every single time. Here's the rule of thumb. You should never have to pay a fee, buy gift cards, send crypto, or verify your social security number by text to receive a legitimate government payment. The Social Security Administration warns that scammers often impersonate SSA and use fear or urgency to get your personal information or money. The IRS says the same thing in their scam guidance. They don't demand payment in unusual ways, and they don't initiate contact with aggressive threats or urgent payment requests through texts or social media DMs. And Treasury's Bureau of the Fiscal Service also posts customer alerts warning people to watch for impersonation and fraud tied to federal payments. So if someone calls claiming to be SSA, IRS, or Treasury and pressures you, hang up, don't argue, don't confirm anything, and never click a link from a random text that says, claim your check. People worry. If I'm on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, will a $2,000 payment reduce my benefits? Here's the honest answer. No one can guarantee anything for a program that isn't law yet. Until there's a bill and official guidance, we don't have the benefits treatment rules in black and white. But we can learn from how the government handled prior rebate-style payments. During COVID, the IRS/Treasury made it explicit that economic impact payments didn't count as income for certain federal programs and didn't count as a resource for 12 months for things like Medicaid. So people wouldn't lose help just because a one-time payment hit their account. Congress CRS summaries also describe similar protections for SSI eligibility calculations. So if this tariff rebate ever becomes real, watch for that same kind of official exclusion language in the law or on treasury/irs/ssa.gov pages. If you're on SSI, you have to understand one thing. Before you get excited about any extra money, the resource limit is extremely low. The Social Security Administration says your countable resources generally can't be more than $2,000 for an individual or $3,000 for a couple. That's not income. It's what you have saved or sitting in accounts. So if a future payment ever hits your account, you'll want a plan so you don't accidentally create a benefits problem. The smart approach is simple. Pay essential bills first: rent, utilities, medical costs, food. Keep records, receipts, bank screenshots, and notes on what the money was used for. And most important, follow official SSA guidance once rules are published, because exclusions and time windows matter. And please don't let anyone scare you into sending money out to protect your SSI. That's a classic scam move. All right, here's what you should do right now, without panic and without hype. Step 1. Don't share personal info just because a headline is trending. If a post is pushing you to confirm your social security number, banking login, or a one-time code, stop. The IRS warns scammers commonly use texts, emails, and social media messages to impersonate the IRS and steal personal information. Step 2. Make sure your government records match, especially your mailing address and direct deposit information. If a legitimate payment ever happens, it will go to whatever is already on file in official systems. Keeping your info current helps you avoid delays and missing notices. Step 3. If you see "apply here" links on social media, assume it's a scam until proven otherwise. The IRS specifically flags fake IRS messages and links designed to steal data. Real updates come from official.gov websites, not random link trees. The truth is, right now, this is a proposal with momentum, not a finalized program. That's what most viral clips won't say out loud because it's less exciting than checks approved overnight. But until there's actual legislation and clear implementation details, who qualifies, how it's funded, and how it's delivered, there is no guaranteed payment date, no guaranteed cutoff, and no guarantee it stays $2,000. So here's my professional advice. Don't build your budget around a maybe. Don't count on $2,000 to cover rent, wipe debt, or fix a cash flow problem. Instead, build your plan around what you control: your emergency fund, your monthly cash flow, and your spending rules. If the money ever becomes real, great. Use it to stabilize essentials and shore up savings. But until then, treat it like what it is: a headline, not a deposit.